workers from out of state, is what we're hearing down there. These types of jobs sustain careers. We're always looking to go to the next job. We build libraries, we build hospitals, we build pipelines, we build wind turbines. This legislation as it is right now, in our view, directly targets both of those construction projects, and in essence targets roughly about 10,000 jobs. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Representative Kaufman.
I think where to start. To allude that these two projects are career pathways is dishonest at best. I would like an exact breakdown of the number of jobs documented that are going to come from these two projects. I would like them broken down for in-state and out-of-state, because I resolutely dispute this 4,000 number. And to say that it's a career path is to cloak into the human aspect. What's more human than people losing their farms? What's more human than having Century Farms getting ripped in half by either a pipeline or this Rock Island Clean Line? There's nothing more human. I bet you remember that different take if it were their farms that were going to be taken. So I would really appreciate data on the number of jobs to create with documentation. I'd also like a list of the companies that are waiting on the clean land to transport energy, because there are none. Energy is being transported right now. Mid-America just did a multi-million-dollar expansion, all the while there being no guarantee that this clean land is going to get built. So if you're going to advocate for these, please do it with actual facts.
I'll certainly do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Other questions for Mr. Schmidt? Committee members, legislators? I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank you for speaking up for your members. One of the things you don't have to weigh that I think is reflected in Representative Kaufman's comments is that, you know, we just heard from a man who's had somebody forcing a non-public utility without approval from the utilities board able to force himself onto his property. So we got to weigh these things, but I really do appreciate your comments and being here. So thank you. Any further questions? Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. There was a red shirt person. By the way, we are going to spill a little bit over 1 o'clock here, but not too much over 1 o'clock. You're next. Yeah, you're next. And then you're next. And then I'd like to have this wrapped up by 1:10 or 1:15. We have to have a little bit of discussion amongst ourselves. But welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Senator Rob Hoffman. I like the enthusiasm. I think it's Representative Hoffman. You must be a Marine. Normally, I have not been here doing this type of a thing. I am the Commission now, Commission of Veterans Chair. I've been here many times supporting our veterans, and I'm still supporting our veterans on various veterans benefits that are so needed in Iowa.
Could you identify yourselves for all the
committee? My name is Dan Gannon. I'm president of Cornland Farm, Inc., which is a farm corporation in Jasper County near the town of Mingo, Iowa. For those of you who know where Mingo, Iowa is at. The back 40 incident, many years ago. Okay. And I'm here because I have a personal interest, because this Dakota Access Pipeline cuts through our property for about 3/4 of a mile. And I'm not saying I'm for or against the movement of energy. Maybe the movement is best underground versus the line, but I am here because it's really about property, our property rights. That's what I'm here for. And I'm against a private for-profit corporation coming in and wanting, at their will, wanting to take my land for their profit. I have sat and talked with our corporation has sat and talked with our agent. What the agent is proposing to give to us is smidgen compared to what they're going to make by putting this pipeline under our property. Their estimated amount is about between $90,000 to $100,000. They're going to move 500,000 plus barrels of oil through our land. I've heard that their savings could be as high as $5 to $8 a barrel. So it's just a smidgen amount of money for what they do to the property. When you read their proposal, not only are they gonna pay you, their proposal was to pay us less than what our property is worth to start out with. The other proposal is to pay you for loss of crop through compaction. Well, anytime you dig up land to the depth they want to dig it up, whether it's compacted or not, you're completely messing with the ecosystem under the ground. The microorganisms and so on that make that property productive. So what they're giving us is not even close to what damage they're going to do. I guess that's all I want to say. I want to keep it short. As a private property owner, I am totally against a private corporation coming in to take my land for their profit.
Senator Garrett.
Thank you.
Hang on just a minute. Yeah, Senator Garrett.
I want to be sure I understand what you just said. That you were quoting a figure of $90,000 to $100,000. Now, that is what, per mile, per acre, what?
It's based on acres. I think it was like $8,500 roughly an acre. I can remember what the number was. They're still working on this negotiation with us. Yeah, it's based on having an access through our property, 150-foot access, and it runs about three-quarters of a mile long. And then there's some other internal factors when they come up with their dollars, but they also quote us a price based on loss of acres of, for example, this year would be corn for the next 3 years. We know for a fact, based on terraces that have been constructed over the last 40 years, that the compaction is going to do damage to our property many, many years versus 3 years. Now, they say you can negotiate that, but why is that an issue I should have to deal with? So, what they're getting is access to our land at a very extremely cheap price, and then they're going to do the damage, and then we have to live with the damage for the rest of our time. This farm that I'm talking about is a century farm, about 145 years old, and we would prefer to leave it in the condition that it is, that our generations and my parents have handed to us.
Have you done the math? My head is right quick. 3/4 of a mile, 150 feet. How many acres is that?
I don't have it in front of me. We just had the discussion because they have our land not properly identified. In fact, they haven't even identified all of our land yet. And when they say that, when the gentleman from the Dakota Access Pipeline veteran spoke, we've been very little involved with the process. My question to him, why didn't he, before they spent all this money to do where they're at, why didn't they come to the landowners 2 or 3 years ago, or 5 years ago, and talk to us before they spent that kind of money?
Thank you, Mr. Gann. Thank you for sharing your personal
Thank you.
experience. Paula?
Yeah, the register. Thank you, Senator Golden, another members of the subcommittee of the Senate. I'm Paula Darrenville, and I'm here representing Clean Mind Energy today. Clean Mind Energy, as you all know, has been in the state talking with you as legislators, property owners, and the Iowa Utilities Board now for approximately 4 years. Part of the reason why they've been in the state for so long before they ever filed an application before the utilities board is because they wanted to hear what questions might be raised, what issues there might be, what concerns there might be by property owners, by the utilities board, and by legislators as they move forward with the project. Clean Line Energy did file an application for a franchise late last year. I want to make it very clear that they have not made a request for eminent domain. They filed an application for a franchise. The utilities board is taking a look at that application and the reams of paper that accompany it, but there has been no request for eminent domain. That continues to surprise me that people don't know that, because we have had so many conversations with so many people over such a long period of time. Senator and Representative, what I'm going to do today, a little differently than what some others have done, is I'm actually going to address the amendment. Language in the amendment. Of particular interest to Clean Line Energy is sections 1, 2, and 3. I think the rest of the amendment relates specific But as it relates to section number 1, I would suggest that what you're attempting to accomplish there is very good, and that is trying to determine the economic impact of a project like clean line energy. I think that's a very admirable goal, and in fact, I have some information here that I know that you have, many of you have seen before, and if you haven't, I apologize because we're trying to share it with as many of you as possible. And I didn't bring enough copies for everyone, but a study was done of the Clean Line Energy Project, and it does, and I can provide the entire study to you. But what that study does show is that as a result of the project, if it moves forward, there will be $7 billion in new wind farm investments in Northwest Iowa, $2 billion investment in the transmission project by itself, 5,000 construction jobs that will be developed to support the construction of the line as well as the wind farms, and 500 permanent ongoing jobs to support the transmission line. In addition to that, there will be millions of dollars every year in property and other kinds of taxes that are paid to our state and local governments. So an economic impact is important. I think it's something that the utilities board should have available to them. I think that there is language in the code right now that would allow the utilities board to obtain that information from the Iowa Department of Economic Development. Got that a little bit wrong, but that's what it used to be. In the language that says that they may hear any testimony as may aid them in determining the propriety of granting the franchise. But if they don't think that that language is specific enough, I would suggest that you could write language in asking the department to provide that information to you, contemporaneous, I would suggest, with an application for a franchise, so specific to a particular project, so that information is most relevant to the application. The citation section 473.15 that is written into the amendment actually deals with an annual report that the department does relating to the progress of state agencies in implementing renewable energy type of systems. And so I don't know if that reference is the correct reference.
Paul, for many years, the state has had an energy planning process. That's in the chapter for energy development. It was with the DNR, it was with the Office of Energy Independence, it's now with the Iowa Economic Development Authority. What we don't have with either one of these projects, what we don't have is the long-term process that the utilities board plans for transmission or other energy development, because these proponents aren't utilities. And so my question to you is, if you don't like 473.15, although that is very broadly written about recommendations for state agencies and technologies and policies, very broad. If you don't like that, is there another part of chapter 473 that you would want this to be recommended from? And the reason why this is important is since we're not dealing with a utility that's subject to the utilities board ongoing planning process, before we embark on a project like this that would allow for eminent domain, we ought to have another process where the state says this meets the state's energy plans and goals. So this was my best effort to come up with that. So unless you have an alternative for me, I'm not very interested in just saying we're going to take that out.
And I'm not suggesting that you should take that out.
Would it be a better section?
What I'm suggesting is that it might be more relevant to the board's determination on whether or not to grant the franchise if they have information that is specific to that particular project.
Well, but the problem I have is that with that, I'm just telling you what the problem I have with it is I want some politically accountable agency that's responsible for energy development, which in this case is the Economic Development Authority, to say, yes, we want this done. Right? It seems to me you have to have, unless it's a utility, and then the utilities board has done that because the utilities board has been planning this stuff for the last 150 years. Right?
And maybe some other language needs to be drafted to get exactly what you're trying to do.
Well, if you have suggestions on that other language, I'd like to hear it, but in my mind, that's not a reason for stopping the legislation at this point. There needs to be an alternative that's better. So I just want to share my thought with you on that. That's where I'm at. I'm open to suggestions if you have a better suggestion. We've had this for the last 27 years. We've had this energy planning process in the DNR, in the Office of Energy Independence, now in the Economic Development Authority, and we ought to actually use it. And that's part of what this is getting at, is let's use it. If we're going to have a planning process, let's use it.
And certainly, as I said, Clean Line has been in the state now for 4 years, so we've been plenty of time for the Department of Economic Development to look at their project and consider whether or not it's appropriately within it.
I agree. Any other questions for Ms. Deerenfield? Let's go to questions, Paul, because we're running well short of time. Senator Deere.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be quick, but in light of this exchange here, my question is, the kinds of studies and the expertise and so on that is contemplated for the Economic Development Board, isn't that what the utilities, or the utility board already does in connection with utility projects that they look into? My thought is, wouldn't they have more expertise in that area than an entity that just looks at renewable energy, whatever, in the state agencies?
Well, I think that, again, I don't want to speak for Senator Polk, but I think that what he's really trying to get at is what is the economic impact in the state of a project like this. And it seems that the Department of Economic Development Authority would be the appropriate agency to look at the economic impact, working with, in consultation with the Iowa Utilities Board.
Would the utility board be looking at that same issue, though?
They should be, probably not as specifically around economic impact, and that's why if the two agencies work together, I think they can come up with some good information as the utilities board presents the application.
Senator Deere, if you prepare an amendment to move Chapter 473 to the Utilities Board, I accept that as a friendly amendment. All right. Representative Kaufman has a question.
Thanks, Paul. This is what, round 4 for us? You just call me job security. It said that you guys have done this for 4 years, and could you tell me the percentage of current approved easements or agreed claims you're at?
They started that process sometime last year in terms of acquiring the voluntary easements. Right now, they're at approximately 15 to 20% of obtaining those voluntary easements. Their goal is well in excess of 90%. They believe that they have worked with landowners, presented a package to landowners that they fully, firmly believe that they will get in excess of 90% of those easements voluntarily. The problem with the language that's in here is that it says that before the board can even consider an application for a franchise, you have to have 75% of those easements already acquired. With a project like Clean Line Energy, they're estimating that they're going to pay $75 million to obtain those easements. And again, an easement is just access to the land. They're paying 90% of the purchase price of the land, but they're not buying the land, they're just buying access to the land. We're on the wire over the land. So, if they were required to obtain 75% of those easements before they can even be considered for a franchise, they would be investing $60 million in the state without even knowing whether or not the project is ever going forward. Now, I can't speak for Clean Line or any other project, but it just seems to me any business would have to really consider very hard whether or not they want to lay out $60 million without even knowing whether or not they can operate in the state.
Before you quote any business, I don't know very many businesses that are in the process of a 9,000-acre project, of which 7,200 currently of those acres would have to be condemned under the current agreements. You live in a different world and you're getting 90%. In my county alone, there's 132 affected landowners, 2 have signed, and I can guarantee you're not going to get that many more than that. Representative Foster's district, Representative Momsen's district, you will not get anywhere near 90%. And so this concern for the financial well-being of the clean line, when under the current number of agreements, they would have partaken in the largest condemnation in the last century, it doesn't mean anything to me.
That is not their plan, that is not
Well,
their
the
plan.
project
They
is so
certainly would not even be considering a project in the state that is what they roll.
19 months, 15%.
I just want to say one other thing on the amendment language. I don't read it as you can't apply for the franchise. It's the way I read the amendment is it's before you're vested with the power of eminent domain, you have to have 3/4. So I don't think that's a thing I don't think it's a barrier applying for your franchise.
And if the process were such, and the utilities board has the authority to do this, the utilities board could consider whether or not the franchise would be granted before ever considering a request for eminent domain. And if the process, if they would consider those separately, then I would say, then what you were proposing works. But what they do is they consider them at the same time. Carrie said that. And so, so they're, you know, from their viewpoint, it's one and the same. And so those 75% of the easements would have to be obtained before they would move forward with the application.
All right. Paul, I apologize. In the interest of time, we have one more person who is in the other, in the peach-colored shirt. Come on up. You're going to be, members of the committee, I apologize that in the interest of time, this will be our last person. We do need to deliberate briefly upon the conclusion of this gentleman's testimony. Obviously, I want to say one other thing as you come up to the table. This is the start of a process. This is a subcommittee. It goes through committee on each side. It goes through the floor on each side. There may be amendments on the floor that each chamber has to deal with. So I want people in the public to know that you have the ability to continue to speak up, that this is not the end of the process. This is the start of a process. So continue to speak up. I apologize we don't have more time to hear everybody, but welcome to the subcommittees, and please identify yourself.
My name is Keith Puntley. I am here because I'm one of the affected landowners in the process that's here.
I'm Keith Puntley, and I'm one of the affected landowners. Mr. Johnson and I have land that's adjacent to each other, but this is land beyond where he and I are adjacent that's being affected. It's up by Harcourt, Iowa. If you know where Harcourt, Iowa is, we're 169 and 175 coming together. Mid-America just put 110 wind turbines right up there, a mile from my property. And I'm one of those people that believes that clean energy is where we need to go in Iowa, whether it's wind turbines or solar. I have geothermal in 2 of my houses in Boone, Iowa. Works great, folks, in terms of the geo side of it. I'm a disabled veteran, so I am very supportive of the President's program to put veterans to work doing installing solar and green energy type of things, and that's one of the things I wish you folks here would appropriate money for, such as you did with ethanol, where you put your money where your mouth was and put money out there that the state used to help retrofit homes and put green type of things into homes. My younger son actually has been part of the state program where he went out with income challenged people and retrofitted their homes with insulation and windows and everything else. Those programs work. They're very effective programs. I truly would like to see a partnership between the state and our utilities. I'm talking about Mid-American and Alliant, and even the co-ops to do that sort of thing. I have been a strong proponent of wind turbines, especially to my local co-op that serves my farmland. And one of the reasons and I've been working with the John Deere dealer over in Perry, one of the reasons we got wind turbines put up on some of the Iowa Select farms for their hog confinements was it adds a security element to the electrification system of the co-ops if we ever have tornadoes or anything that take down wind. It's an alternative source of power that's there. And in fact, in some of the tornado areas south, because I have a second home in Texas, down in San Antonio, where my older son and granddaughter are, that's one of the ways they established power very quickly down there was to put wind turbines in some of the places that the whole power lines went down. so that the communities could actually rebuild. We need to look at this energy security requirements very, very closely in terms of what is ahead of us in terms of climate change. The document that I handed to the secretary over there is about a 100-page document where I hope that some of you will take some time to look at. For about 6 months, I've been looking at climate change. In my other life, I was an IRS estate and gift tax attorney. I'm used to asking questions such as the group of you have asked here. I've been to the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals twice representing the U.S. government. I, like you, want to do what's right for Iowa, and my farmland has been in my family for over 50 years. There could be a century farm that will be in my family for a long time. I come here not only as a proponent of the green energy change, but also as a proponent that we must do something very, very quickly about climate change. And I am opposed to the pipeline. I totally want it stopped. My property, which I eventually hope someday will have wind turbines, since it is close to the Middle American site that's there, is 82 CSI ground. It is some of the best of the best. This pipeline that's going to cross Iowa, and by the way, in my 32 years as an IRS estate tax attorney, I've been from Lyon County, clear down to the southeast, east over the Cedar Rapids area. I'm very familiar with all of the land that's going to be affected by this. This pipeline, once it's buried, is actually going to be a dam for all the underground water that flows throughout the state of Iowa. If you think of this, the pipeline is 30 inches, and they're going to put 2 feet of dirt over top of that, and then the tiles are supposed to be, that are in Iowa, are above that. This pipeline is going to be anywhere from 12 to 14 feet deep. And down to 12 to 14 feet, in terms of the soils that are out there, you're in mostly clay, okay? So when you get the pipe there and compact everything around the pipe, and you compact everything 2 feet above the pipe, you now have a dam. It's going to force all of this underground water up and over into the root zone of the crops that all of us plant, which is corn and soybeans here in Iowa. The pipe also, the average temperature of the earth is 55 degrees. That's how my geosystem works, is a heat exchange between the cold and the warm days. I've been told this pipeline will have a degree temperature of 75 degrees radiated out from the pipe itself, okay?
Mr. Putney?
Okay, I'm gonna finish this up very quickly, if you will. So I think what we've got going with this pipeline is a perfect storm that's going to affect all of the crops and everything along this particular line from one end of the state to the other. I also want to refer you to the back part of the handout that's coming out to you. If you go really study this, as I have, the climate change that's coming has basically been referred to as basically the 6th time we're going to have major extinction of both plants and animals in this world by 2050.
Mr. Putney?
Okay.
Very important subject, but in the interest of time, we've gone over already 25 minutes. We've got a lot of materials from you to study, and I'm sure the members of the committee will study it.
Okay, the last thing I want to say to this, and then I'll quit, is I support what Mr. Johnson said. I also got one of those letters. I also had people on my property surveying it, and it was a farce what they did in terms of the tree surveys they did. I have pictures of that.
Mr. Putney, are you in Boone County like he is?
I am from Boone and West Dakota. This is my land is in West, but it doesn't mean that.
Okay, great.
In terms of that. And the last comment I'll make to you in terms of the proposal that you got there, I think that before eminent domain is granted, we live in a democracy, and every landowner should have a right to vote whether or not this pipeline should be granted up or down.
Okay.
And that should come after the IUB hearing, after all the evidence is presented at the IUB hearing. And it would allow those people who have already signed and maybe changed their mind to actually now consider everything. I agree with most of the changes that you are proposing. But the last thing is, I don't understand how the Iowa Utility Board has the right to define trespass, which is defined under the common law and in the civil and other law that we have, the criminal and civil law of the state. And I don't understand how the IUB was given the right to define
on trespass, so that anybody can come onto my property at will with the state's authority for that sort of thing. I wish you would come back and review that process, because I think that's just totally wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Putney. I want to thank you not only for your testimony, but I want to thank you for your service to our country. I'm looking around the committee. Any further questions for any of the witnesses we've had? I see none. Representative, any comments? Senator Kinney, I'm going to do the Senate side for Senator Kinney. Senator Garrett, any questions? I have signed the report. Senator Kinney, did you sign the report?
I have signed the report.
Okay. Senator Garrett, do you wish to sign the report?
I'm not ready to sign it this time. I didn't see this final version of this amendment until we sat down here, and we haven't had time to look it over. And I acknowledge you gave me a predecessor that had some of these provisions, but I'm uncomfortable signing without looking at it and understanding the full question.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Garrett. I appreciate it. That means we have 2 signatures to get out of subcommittee. And so with that, the Senate subcommittee is going to adjourn, but hang on. Representative Kaufman's got to adjourn the House subcommittee.
Senator Hogue, Representative Hartsell, or Senator Wolf, do you have any closing questions?
Not so much a question. I would like to look at a possible amendment to the amendment that would address the 479B.15 provision allowing entry for land survey even before a franchise is granted. It seems to take almost nothing, and it looks like the court, I'm not sure the court does have a whole lot of discretion as to whether or not to grant that entry. So I did sign off on the bill. I do have some concerns about changing the rules in the middle of the game. Has been stated by several people today, but I also think there's some serious problems with the current procedure, and this is the bill we have, so I want to move forward. Thanks.
In the interest of time, I'll just keep it brief. I also signed off on and eminent domain is a pretty serious hammer, I think, with the term used in this hearing, and it's incumbent upon us as lawmakers to make sure that government uses it appropriately and sparingly. So I'll be signing this, move this forward.
And in closing, I just want to say, I've had some passionate remarks today, and for Paula and the folks of the union, it's not personal. But for me, I've got a duty to protect those that do not financially or do not have the power to protect themselves. And when you're going up against billion-dollar giants, a lot of folks feel helpless. And so today, this bill that we have before us, it's not about wind, it's not about oil, it's not about jobs, it's not about anything other than private property rights. And I don't think most people would mistake me for someone that feels like I'm being followed perpetually by a black helicopter, but I do believe that with the erosion of our private property rights, then puts in forth potential for the erosion of all of our rights. So with that, I have also signed the report, and this subcommittee bill, as amended, will move forward unanimously for consideration for the full committee. And our subcommittee is adjourned.
Excuse me? I'm just making my way out of the room.
Presentation, B plus.
Hello, how are you? I saw you taking your video. Yeah, I'm live streaming.
Yes. I mean, so you got to work as easy as
I got a few viewers right now, still. Oh, this. Now it'll go into the difficult part of their discussions and review of all the information that was presented. And if it gets changed as it goes into the full committee, that could affect the future of this particular bill on both sides, House and Senate. And but if it's done well, the rights of the landowners are respected, then this pipeline can be stopped and we can keep Iowa clean. And as the last guy said, it would be a dam and it would block groundwater movement, which could affect the fertility of the land and the ability of that land to produce crops of whatever kind. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the stream down. And I just found out about this meeting last night, so I decided to come here and stream it. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. I'm about to get into an elevator and get out of here. And next time you see me on the stream, it will be Saturday, May 2nd at noon for medical marijuana rally at the Capitol. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the stream.